Episode 3, From House Help to a Multimillionaire. The days in the mansion became quieter, but heavier. There was a tension in the air, like an approaching storm that refused to break. Elena had grown from the trembling girl with cracked palms into a composed young woman. But inside, the scars still throbbed. She cleaned the same floors, cooked the same meals. Yet she was no longer invisible. And that was dangerous. One morning, as she arranged roses in a crystal vase, she heard Madame Grace's heels clack behind her. "You like those flowers so much?" Grace said coldly. "Maybe you should marry them." Elena said nothing. She dipped her head and stepped aside. But Grace wasn't done. "Or maybe you'd rather marry the man who pays for them." Elena's hand froze over the petals. Her heart pounded, but her face remained calm. Later that week, Elena was called into Mr. Daniel's home office. He looked up from his desk, tired but kind. "Sit," he said. She sat cautiously. He placed a book in front of her, a journal, leather-bound and worn. "This belonged to my mother," he said. "She used to write her thoughts here, about love, fear, strength. I think you relate." Elena hesitated. "Why me, sir?" He looked at her for a long time. "Because I see the same strength in you." A silence fell between them, warm, heavy, uncertain. Before she left, he added quietly, "You don't belong in the shadows." The staff noticed the change. Elena walked differently now. Not with arrogance, but with self-assurance. She no longer flinched at whispers or insults. She moved like someone who had learned not to bend too far, or she'd snap. Auntie Ngozi, the cook, scoffed openly. "She's bewitched him, that one." The gardener crossed himself every time she walked by. The driver laughed bitterly. "He'll marry her soon. Just wait." But it was Madame Grace who made the next move. That Friday, Mr. Daniel was away on a business trip to Durban. Grace found Elena in the hallway, holding a tray of tea. She smiled, a strange, rehearsed smile. "Come, sit with me." Elena was stunned. This woman had never invited her to sit. Ever. She obeyed. Grace poured her tea with slow, deliberate hands. "You know," she began, "I was once like you. Pretty. Quiet. Full of secrets." Elena stared at the cup. "I don't have secrets." Grace smirked. "Oh, but everyone does. Even saints in aprons." Her eyes glinted. "Let me tell you what happens to girls like you. Girls who think men will save them." Elena finally looked up. "They get used," Grace whispered. "Then discarded." She stood. "Drink your tea, dear. You'll need your strength." She left the room. Elena didn't drink it. Later that night, she poured the tea into the sink. A dead lizard floated to the top of the teacup. Elena couldn't sleep. The walls felt alive, listening. The wind howled outside like a warning. She sat up, clutching the old journal to her chest. She flipped open to a random page. "A woman who is silent is dangerous, because she watches and remembers." The words burned into her. At dawn, she went into the garden. The roses had begun to bloom again. But someone had planted something else among them. She reached down and uncovered it, a small crude doll, bound in red thread, its eyes black pins. A curse. She nearly dropped it, but forced herself to breathe. To think. Who had buried it? 2 days later, Mr. Daniel returned. He found Elena waiting at the front gate, her face pale but firm. "We need to talk," she said. Inside, she told him everything. The tea, the doll, the threats, the garden. He listened, his fists clenched. "This house is sick," she said softly. He paced, torn between disbelief and fury. "I'll protect you," he said. But she shook her head. "No. I don't want to be protected. I want to survive." Their eyes locked. Something shifted. He stepped closer. "I won't let them hurt you." Elena stepped back. "Then don't hide me." That evening, during dinner, Mr. Daniel made an announcement. I've decided to renovate the guest wing. Elena will move there. From today. Forks dropped. Auntie Ngozi gasped audibly. Madame Grace froze mid-bite. You're what? He met her gaze. She needs space. Privacy. She's earned it. Grace stood, trembling. You're humiliating me in my own house. It stopped being your house the day you lifted your hand to an innocent girl. A deadly silence followed. Elena said nothing. She rose and walked away, shoulders square. That night, in her new room, larger, brighter, silent, she unpacked her only bag. Among her things, she placed a journal on her new nightstand. She didn't smile. Not yet. But her reflection in the mirror no longer looked like a housemaid. It looked like a woman becoming something else. Watch out for episode 4.